All right, everybody, are you ready? Because I'm not sure if you realize why in the world they have someone like me who's coming up here to talk to you about transition and vocational education and how to get kids moving through the system. But I can tell you, I think it's because I've lived it. I probably lived most of the things that you are going through at this point in time. And I can tell you that today, as we talk about what we want to do as far as um, make sure that we are discussing ways to increase attendance, that we're going to talk about a little bit of graduation rate and how to make sure that your students are graduating and graduating on time. Discuss some inclusive practices for pathways to post-secondary employment. Yes, we have pathways, and we have pathways for all of our students. Um, we created those several years ago and made sure that our students who are alternately assessed are also in a pathway to post-secondary employment. So we include everyone in that. And then, of course, a little bit of real life, rigorous, motivational employment training. Well, guess what? We do a lot of this because we are a part of the Project Discovery Group. Um, we started in 2009, actually, and it's because of Gary and him walking into my office and telling me that he had something that I couldn't live without. And I told him that we were too poor to get anything. So I can promise you that he hit me at the right time, however. We were a system that had absolutely no direction. Um, we were floundering. We, in Louisiana, you get a letter grade for your district for how many kids you graduate on time, how many students with disabilities that you are able to graduate, and making sure that students are not dropping out. And I can tell you that we were sitting at a D, okay? We needed to climb out of the hole that we were in. We only were graduating about 48% of our general education students, and probably only 31% of our special education students. It was an enormous project that we all had to come together and figure out what was going on. Well, let me tell you that we looked at why our students were dropping out. We tried to figure out what it was that we could change and why in the world we were sitting in this position. So we learned that our students who were in the ninth grade, 30% of them who entered the high school were a potential dropout. We looked at if they retained one or more years in elementary school, if they were excluded from the general curriculum as a special education student or as a 504 student and had to move into a different pathway. We looked at the students who were retained because of the state eighth grade test. And of course, that was our No Child Left Behind, all of those things that we've all talked about. Well, that came into play for us. And then students who were entering ninth grade at the age of 16, we knew that those were definitely our potential dropouts. And so our goal was to see how we could change what was going on in our district. How do we do that? Well, we knew we had to start it at the high school, but we also knew that we had to change everything that we were doing in the elementary school as well. So for us, we decided that the number one thing we needed to do was to look at a change in curriculum. We needed to make sure that we were teaching the correct things. We needed to make sure that we were working our students toward the world of work and that we were working toward getting into college. We were trying to figure out how to make sure that we were teaching the correct thing in the right way and that we were assessing each and every student. Progress monitoring. I cannot stress that enough. Not only do you have to have a summary or a summative assessment, like what we call the LEAP test in Louisiana, but you also have to have some progress monitoring on where are these students. Our strategic goal number 2 was to get our parents involved. And I can tell you that we completely reworked everything that we were doing to make sure that our parents were partners with us. And then our third goal was to make sure that they were attending school, that they wanted to come to school, that we were making it as productive as possible, and in that, that our graduation rate came up. So as you see, we had to start with the top of the curriculum and what we were doing, and that was going to impact our attendance and graduation rate. So just know we have had those trials and tribulations as everyone else. We started, as I said, in the high school area. Why? Because we had to have the greatest impact on our graduation rate. In order for us to come up as a school district, we had to impact that high school. So we developed a plan for a ninth grade academy. We made sure that all of our ninth grade students felt like they were important. We worked on making sure that we had 5-year plans for each and every one of those starting in the 8th grade, so that when they came into the ninth grade academy, they were together as a group. We made sure that all of their classes were within the same building. We made sure that their lunchtime was filled with teachers being with them, everything that we could do. And we made sure that we had counseling for every ninth grade student. We trained all of our teachers, and we continue to train all of our teachers. We look at how to make sure that we have differentiated instruction, not just for our students with disabilities, but for every student. Our mantra is that every day, everything it takes for every child. So we say that every morning before we start school. And we started this back in 2011. We've not changed what we're doing. We are just making it better each and every day for our students. We looked at creating the inclusive transition plans for everyone. When I say that all of our alternately assessed students are in the same classes, we make sure that we bring in every special education student, and they are using the same curriculum at an adapted level, and they are working on those same entry-level skills that we are using for all of our other students in general education. We looked at a dropout prevention program, and we tried to make sure that there was a way that we could keep students who were on the cusp of wanting to drop out, and how could we get them into internships? How could we get them into the work world and work with them to make sure that they had what they needed to stay in school? And of course, we turned around and we used all of the project discovery, work-based learning and skills to be able to help our students to understand how to get a job and how to keep a job. So everything was based on making sure that we knew where our students wanted to be when they graduated, and that we were giving them the skills and all of the supports that they needed to be able to get there. For us, we're a little rural parish. We don't have a lot of extra things. We don't have a lot of extra manufacturing, other things for us. So we had to figure out how in the world that we could do all of this on one campus or 3 campuses, depending on how many high schools we were trying to work with. So what did we do to get there? You saw the short-term goals. We immediately made those changes. It took us almost 5 years to be able to make the long-term changes that we've made. We evaluated our pupil progression policy. We tried to make sure that we were not retaining students and keeping them back from where they needed to be. We wanted to add in supports instead of retaining students, because that was going to keep them from progressing. We looked at our response to intervention framework. We looked at the fact that we had to identify students in pre-K, and we had to start working with them immediately to make sure that they were getting all the supports they needed. We looked at what we were teaching for reading and how could we begin with a hands-on reading program in the kindergarten area to make sure that we were catching any student who was falling between the cracks. We also knew that special education and our classrooms had to be restructured. No more could we keep our special education students out of that general curriculum. And I can say, as special education director, we were able to make sure that all of our classrooms were inclusive all the way through our 6th grade area. No matter what, students were not being pulled out of general curriculum time. We have double math time, double reading time, because we make sure that they stay in that general education area for the reading time and the math time. And then they come to the special education classrooms for supports in that area. So they get double math and reading in those early areas. We also created what we called the early dropout intervention and career exploration. We called it DEEP. And we made sure that we were catching our students in that 6th grade area who hadn't wanted to come to school, who were having those attendance problems. We started working with them on our vocational program to try to get them engaged and working into what they might want to be when they graduated from high school. I can also tell you that we sent our graduates around every graduation season to walk those halls and stand there in their graduation gowns and talk to every student in our classrooms about what it felt like to be graduating from high school. And this, for us, has been a game changer. What have we done? And how in the world do we know that we've made an impact? Well, I told you that back in 2011, we had about a 48% graduation rate, and we had a 31% special education rate. By 2018, we had an 84% graduation rate, and our special education graduation rate was up to 92%. Now, we graduate at least 96% of our students. And for 4 years, we graduated 100% of all of our special education students. We do have some students who age out, and we understand that, but we do everything that we can to help them to get a diploma here in Louisiana as well. But that's where we've moved from. And I think that's why I get so excited about what we do with vocation and what we do with our project discovery classes and how we are keeping kids in school, because it's not about going from a D district up to an A district here in Louisiana. It's about every kid that we impacted. It's about every student that we made sure was able to graduate from high school. And it's a wonderful, wonderful moment, especially for us, because we see these students and we see these mothers and daddies in the grocery store. We walk and see them every day in our local department stores. So we are in those moments with those parents and being able to celebrate what has happened. So what are we doing? We made parents as our partners. We showed them what we could do for their child as they were graduating from high school. We showed them that if they would give us the time and help us and push their children along, that we would get them jobs, that we would get them into college, that we would figure out a way that we could help them to be the best citizens that they could be. We increased our school performance scores by more than 20 points. That has been phenomenal for us. That was in the high school area. Well, in the last 4 years, we have increased our elementary school performance scores by 12 points every year. And last year we increased them by 20 points. So taking the initiative to look at where these students want to be and start talking to them when they're in pre-K. Who do you want to be when you grow up? Looking at where they want to be when they graduate, talking about whether they want to go to college or they want to drive trucks like their dad or their mom does. Being able to have those conversations, we start that in that elementary area. And parents come on board with us. They help us. We've been accredited by Advanced Ed in the past, and we, of course, had our vocational department highlighted for that. And then I can tell you this, the voters of our district 4 years ago voted in a $33 million bond issue for our school district. They saw that as our partners, that we could do the best things for their kids. $10 million of that went into a vocational facility. It is a state-of-the-art facility that houses not only our students with general education wants and needs and vocational aspirations, but also our students with disabilities, our students who are going into alternate assessment. All of them are housed in the same place for our vocational facility. So we all work together to make sure that we are one in this. What does it look like? What does it look like when you actually move into something and look at the career awareness in an elementary area? Some people say, what in the world are you talking about? You know dang good and well you can't talk careers to a kindergartner, but you can. You can when you bring in people from your community. You can when you bring your high school students and have them be in the classrooms with your pre-K students and talking to them about what it looks like to graduate. You can when you have career days for your elementary students and you bring the fire trucks in and you bring the water trucks in. We have a lot of oil and gas here in North Louisiana. So we bring in the people who are doing the pipelines, the welders, the HVAC people. We talk to them about what in the world this looks like. We don't just talk about whether or not you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, or you want to be a teacher. We go in and find all of those positions where they might want to work in a greenhouse. They might want to work at the local hardware store. They might want to be the one who builds those houses. So we bring them all in to talk about what's going on. And that happens more than once a year as well. We also started looking at how we could do this in our reading. If you're going to incorporate what they're going to do when they get out of high school, you need to start incorporating that in their pre-K through third grade years, in their fourth to fifth grade years, so that students start developing that will to want to, that passion into where they would like to be. So for our pre-K through third grade students, we have a study lab time, and not a study lab as far as like going in and trying to work on what they can't do yet. It's a Lego building lab. It's a build the best bridge lab. It's a how do you design a pond kind of lab. They discuss who all of these people are, what the career groups are, and they talk about how to problem solve some of these work issues that they're going through. Students can build clouds out of your cotton balls. Students can build bridges out of pixie sticks. They can do all kinds of things, and they use their minds and working through this to start thinking about what in the world I might want to be. In the fourth to fifth grade area, and in those grades, we start talking about career awareness, and we start looking at the career awareness project-based curriculum from Project Discovery. We keep all of our students with disabilities in those classrooms as well. And we make sure that we cover as many career areas as we possibly can. So all of this is helping us not only with our reading goals and our math goals, because all of this is integrated into our curriculum, but it's also about giving them that posture of, look who I'm going to be. Yep, I might be an engineer. I might be the guy who's mixing the concrete too. So it's all about how you start presenting the different jobs that are out there for parents and students to look at. For us, we look at everything. We look at banking, business, construction, creative arts. We definitely cover the public services. We for sure cover the mechanics, the installers, and the repairers. I can tell you that there's one goal that I never got in all my years of wanting to implement something here in this district. I never was able to implement diesel mechanics. That to me is one of the things that we needed the most. We have in our high school area, we have the business, we have the banking, we have construction, we have welding, we have CNA, all of these different things, but we do not have HVAC, and we do not have those diesel mechanics. Yesterday, I was told by the superintendent, I can tell you I will tear up over this, but we just got a grant that we wrote for a year ago. And I think that by the beginning of next year, we will actually have diesel mechanics here. So for me, that's the greatest thing. Absolutely wonderful. What else is it that we're actually doing and we're looking at for our students? Well, it's making sure that our students who are in the 4th, 5th grade are going through all of these different career areas, and they're learning and they're having fun learning some of the skills that are going on. We love looking at some law enforcement. We love looking at those public service areas. We have a great time teaching manners while we're teaching food service, looking at grocery shopping and how to make a great meal, but looking at who all works in the grocery store, who works to drive the trucks to deliver all of this. So we just keep their interest and we have a great time doing it. But more importantly, we're teaching that vocabulary. We're giving them those reading skills to help them to move them along as well. 6th to 8th grade, we get a little bit more. No, I would say a lot more intentional about what we're doing. All of our students begin their 5-year plan. Okay. So by the end of 7th grade, starting that 8th grade year, they're starting on their plan of what in the world they're going to do when they get out of high school. So they're looking at, am I going to college? Am I going to be in the workforce? What do I have to do in a tradesmanship to be able to do what I want to do when I get out in my work? We add in extra math and extra reading courses, especially for any of our students who are struggling. Again, nobody's taken out of that general curriculum ever. We add in more courses for them. So we also run what we call a balanced calendar. We changed that to keep up with what was going on. And so we run a few extra weeks so that we can add in some of these extra math courses and reading courses for a lot of our students. We identified any overage student, anyone who is coming from that 8th grade, that 5th grade into that 6th grade through 8th grade, we identify them and we help them to figure out where they want to be when they graduate from high school. We offer them high school courses, and we offer all of our 7th and 8th grade high school courses in their junior high years. It is not based on their GPA. It is not based on how well they read. It is based on what they want to do when they get out of high school. Okay. So we add in some of those courses that they might need to get out of high school and to graduate. We add those into their 6th through 8th grade time so that they are able to develop a skill base, and they're able to get some of those courses out of the way, and they catch up on where they're behind if they're over age. If they're not over age and they are a regular high school student who is moving through, they're probably going to be able to take that full senior year and do 8 hours of an internship. For some of our students who are over age and they're coming into that high school, they might be able to do 6 hours of an internship every day. So we have mentors, we have career exploration, we built in that transition, we built in those courses, we're identifying those students who may need extra help to be able to graduate from high school. How do we know that career exploration can be fun? Because by golly, we have fun doing it. I can tell you, I learned how to change the oil in a Briggs and Stratton motor, and I can teach it. I have paraprofessionals around here. We have paraprofessionals around here who are able to take dents out of a car. They learned it through going through all of our career exploration. We love to do plant propagation and graphing and doing things for our students. And we absolutely love being able to show our students how to not only go grocery shopping, but to go grocery shopping and use their money wisely, to figure out how to look for those sales, to help their parents in everything that they do. But a lot of our students use this as a leg up to get that job if they need it as a 15, 16, 17-year-old. And they will be able to tell their employers, hey, I learned how to do all of these skills early in my career, in high school or in junior high. For us, I'll tell you about our paths to graduation. In our 9th grade academy, we include not only career exploration, we have a class. We have a class that actually goes through career exploration. It is not for students with special education needs. It is not for students with our reading needs. It is for every student. We help them to look at where they might want to be, what pathway they might want to take. And we talk about this with every 9th grade student, whether they're just for college bound or they're going into the workforce. For our college bound students, we look at whether or not they need help in their English, their math, their science, those types of courses, and we make that readily available. We started in that 9th grade a remediation program so that any student who is failing at the end of the first 9 weeks, we capture that student and we work through them on grade remediation. We work on seat time and attendance remediation. We do that within the school day so that we're not trying to catch up over a summer school, or we're not trying to make sure that they catch up in the 10th grade year. We're making that grade recovery. We're making that course recover, all of those things available to them during that school year. We completely restructured our 9th and 10th grade for all of our students as well. In that 9th grade year, we front load all those vocational skills. We get them ready to go into carpentry. We get them ready to go into welding. We get them ready to go into business. We teach our OSHA 10. We have the opportunity to teach NCCER core to all of our students. We keep our students who need the most supports and are alternately assessed. We also give them the opportunity to front load skills in that 9th and 10th grade area so that we can get them in those vocational courses if possible. And if we can't, then we bring those vocational teachers into their classrooms so many times a year to help our teachers to teach some of these vocational courses that we are teaching as well. Using our project discovery, we are able to teach all of this within the classroom, and we don't have to go out and find extra teachers to be able to do this. For our 11th and 12th grade students, look, we integrate everything we can into those vocational classes. We give them English, we give them math, we make sure that all of that is through their vocational classes as well, so that they are able during that 12th grade year to do a full year of an internship, to work with an electrician and start their apprenticeship with them. We have a program now with International Paper where we send at least 10% of our students out into International Paper, and they work in entry-level jobs and come back to us to graduate. And then they are offered full-time employment with that company. So it's a wonderful partnership that we have. And how does this work? It works because our parents are our partners. Our parents tell us what we need, and our parents come to our open houses. We had our first open house this year, and we had 84% of our high school students had a parent show up for parent night. It's amazing the turnout that we get for that. And remember, we began this at the bottom of the barrel. I can tell you, absolutely at the bottom of the barrel. How do we make sure that our students are taking this seriously? And what do we do to make sure that they're actually staying in the program and doing what they need to do? Well, we use a good bit of the life skills that was talked about at the beginning of this webinar. We use that to help them to understand what it's like to apply for a job. So in their 9th grade, we help them to write a resume. We help them to prepare for what it looks like to go for an interview. We help them to decide what they want to do as far as the first skills kit that they're going into. And then we make them apply for that. They apply to get into the program. And it gives them the opportunity to not only see what it takes to get a job, but then each and every day we hold them accountable for being on the job. They clock in. They clock in not only to make sure that they're attending school, but they clock in to make sure that they're attending their vocational program as well. We look at entry-level admission after high school, whether it's in college or it's going on that first job that they're getting. We try to make sure that we are graduating every student with a high school diploma, but we also try to make sure that even our students who know that they're going into college, they also are getting some type of skill certificate or a regional certificate. My own son graduated in 2012, and he graduated as a top honor student. And here in the state of Louisiana, if you're a top honor student and you've covered all of those courses and you make a certain number on the ACT, you get your college education paid for. We were very blessed in that we were able to do that. But you know what else I made him do? I made him go through, and he graduated with his welding certificate as well from high school, because I know the importance, and all of you know the importance of having that instilled in you, that work ethic that you get from going through those vocational classes. I can tell you CTE people are some of the best people in the world to be able to teach those students how they need to act, not only in life, but at work. What else do? We make sure that we track our students for 2 years after graduation. We do surveys. We check in. we check to see, are they still at work? Are they having any troubles? Are they in school? Are they needing something? And if they are, we try to put them with the best people who can help them at that point in time. So what about our students who are alternately assessed? What in the world are we doing for them? So we help them to transition into a vocational program. I told you that we are front loading skills. We try as hard as we can to help them to get a certificate as well. Our students with mild disabilities, we are helping a lot of those students. We have students who are graduating with a CNA certificate, a state certificate. We have students who are going through the welding and the carpentry who are getting those certificates that they need. Our alternate assessment students, those that are the most significant for us, what we are doing is we are exposing them and we are helping them to complete some skill certificates through our project discovery as well. We are trying to make sure that they are life ready and job ready. That job may be in their house. It may be that they are the ones who are doing the dishes each night for the family. It might be that they are the ones who are helping to decide what they are going to buy at the grocery store. Maybe they're not going out and working in the workforce all the time, but we are working with them to make sure that they have those good outcomes as well. So what do we have? Well, when we started doing this, even our students with special needs are now scoring in the top 10% of the classes. They are able to get those diplomas. They are able to complete those certifications. We have options of welding, forestry, EMT, childcare. We are able to do food service, hospitality, looking at going to work in the hotels, but also making your own catering business, all of those types of things. So we have Pro Start, small engine repair, industrial maintenance. We teach construction, CNA. We teach the retail trades. We have our students with special needs and our alternately assessed students working in our t-shirt shop, because our retail trades have a t-shirt shop and a monogramming shop. And so we teach everyone to fold the merchandise. We help them to put the thread on the machines. We help them to make designs. And then we also work very closely with our local grocery stores for grocery clerking as well. I talked about running it like a job site, and that's the truth. We run everything like it's a job site. Work performance matters. We expose them to every type of job situation that they can be exposed to. In the adapted curriculum that we use, that we work with for our most significant students, there's something called a situation card. We adapted these for our students in general education as well. And we try to put situations on there for what they will encounter. So we do a lot of hands-on and a lot of discussion time on just what you might encounter on the job. A lot of our students don't lose their job because they can't do the skills. They lose their job because they don't show up to work on time. They lose their job because they don't call in. They lose their job because they say something ugly to their employer or their job coach, anything like that. So we try to work through and make sure that their entire high school career is run like a job. It's sometimes you lose your privileges on a job, and sometimes you lose your job if you're not able to do it correctly. So in this one, I just wanted to show you a few things. You see that we have what we've been doing as far as just on paper, but I'd like to show you what we do, and this is the kids that it impacts for us. These are some of our students who are going through our health careers, preparing for CNA. These students are, some of these students that you will see have significant disabilities, but a lot of our students are general education students, and you will see that they're all in the same classroom together. So in this one, this is our caregiver, and we're working through what is going on. They learn how to transfer people from the wheelchair to the bed. They learn how to take their temperature, take their pulse, looking at how to keep up with their medications. Here's some of our students looking at childcare. And you're going to see we're not any different from all of you. This is before, these are pictures before we actually built our new vocational building, because we just moved in that one. But you can see we're just in a classroom. We're not doing something extraordinary here, but our students are actually working in our areas to become better parents. We make sure that every student who goes through 9th grade goes through childcare and goes through caregiver, because our teachers want to make sure that they're able to take care of students, take care of their younger brothers and sisters, take care of their own children, and of course, take care of their grandmothers. We have daycare on campus for us. And so when they get their certificate for childcare, they're actually able to go in and work in the daycare facility. So these are some of our students who have graduated with their skill certificate, and then they moved in to do their internship into the daycare facility. Here we are in welding. When our students get through with their small engines, when they've looked at the carpentry, when they've looked at some things to be able to work through, they are able to get into welding as well. They finish all of their safety instruction before they finish the 9th grade, and starting in that 10th grade year, they're able to go into welding. And here are some of our construction and our cleaning and maintenance students. So we do all kinds of stuff. We take it a step further than what we have in just the curriculum. You're going to see on the bottom there, those are the cabinets that came out of my renovation in my kitchen. Yes, they are 1970s cabinets. These students sanded all of those down. They worked with our arts group, and the arts group painted on them. Then our career group came back in, polished those, and they sold them and made a lot of money on doing all of that. They also went out and found all the wooden desks in all of our schools and the chairs, and they refinished all of those. They sold those desks that they refinished at antique stores for $85 each. They did an awesome job, and they made a lot of money for their classes. Here is auto detailing, and here's some of our students who are working through that. I can tell you they love that. They're able to get the dents out. They run it through on Thursdays. Teachers get their cars washed. So it's a wonderful thing. They take time out, and this is part of their internship that they're able to do. These two gentlemen that are holding up their certificate, they just opened their own shop, and their auto detailing shop, and they are a heck of a success. We all go see them. So now the question you have is, how in the world do we pay for any of this? Well, I can tell you, for us, when we decided to make this change, we decided to do it all together. We use not only special education funds to help us buy the curriculum, we use Title I funds and Title II funds for professional development. We used Perkins funds because it was in our vocational facility that we were actually able to incorporate this, and we were looking at high wage jobs. We wrote grants, and we got district funds and voter buy-in. So they helped us to pay for every bit of this. For us, it's not about, like I said, what it is for being able to make this jump for the school district. It's about making this a part of each and every student's life. And so I would ask each and every one of you who are sitting there listening to see what your needs are, see how you can make an impact. And it may be a small impact, and it may be the biggest impact you can have for one child. And that's okay. Because the worst thing we could possibly do is to do nothing. So for me, it was starting small, figuring out how in the world we could make an impact, and then chipping away at making those impacts and coming together with everyone at the table and making this a full-fledged program that we could all be proud of. I don't know. There may be some questions that were in the chat room. There may be some things that you were asking. So I'm asking those questions now.
Okay. Thank you so much, Karen. That was incredible. I love watching you present. You're amazing. And I really appreciate it. I think that that was some awesome information. I'm sure that everybody else.
I took 4 pages of notes, you guys.
Can you tell I'm a little bit passionate about this?
Yeah, but it all made so much sense. And there was really, it's a soup to nuts. You just can't kind of dabble at it. I mean, you can try, but it's so effective when you really dive into that deep end of the pool, and everybody's in it for different purposes, different strokes for different folks, for at the pre-K, at the elementary, and at the middle and high school level. So Michelle, you had a couple of questions you saw.
Yeah, so the main one that I kept getting was a little bit more of an explanation of what project discovery is, because not everybody is familiar with it. So just, I put a couple links in the chat to the project discovery page on our website, and then a quick overview video. But if you want to go into a little bit more info about that, that would be great.
Yeah, and we do one-on-one overviews, or sometimes we've had people who call for those overviews like with their team. So now it's not just one person that has to go back to the team and explain it, but for 20-30 minutes, you can sit down with the team during a meeting and give them kind of an overview. They can ask their questions, and then y'all can talk about it afterwards. I think those are some of the most effective ones where everybody can decide together what makes sense. So we'll show you where you can find some of that in a moment. But I know I saw another one too about the overage children in junior high school, Karen. I think that's brilliant. And it was, it was a real, maybe it's more of a comment, but it was kind of like, they know when they're behind when they get into junior high. You want to talk about that for a bit, because it's really, they just kind of lose faith that, oh, I'm already behind. What can I do? Yeah.
That is correct. And they do. They lose faith quickly. And what we understood is that they were dropping out in junior high. Like they weren't getting to that 7th grade, 8th grade age, because there they were 14 years of age going into 7th grade. And so we immediately started putting them with mentors.
Mm-hmm.
And then giving them the opportunity to take some of those high school courses. Look, we do a lot of things extra with them as far as online, so that they can take those high school courses and they can almost jump over that 10th grade year when they get into high school. So by the time they were in the 8th grade, they would have 4 courses that were behind them already.
Mm-hmm.
and being able to do that. But more importantly, they had an idea of where they wanted to get a job, and they knew if they stuck with us, they would get that job.
Mm-hmm.
So now, I can honestly tell you, we don't have overage junior high students. And it's a shocking moment to me, but we don't have those anymore because we catch them up at that elementary age.
Yeah.
For a good 5 years, that's what we dealt with, was making sure they didn't drop out.
Yeah, it's preventative.
It is preventative.
Really totally preventative. And that's the thing. If you can just, be looking for those signs and saying, this poor child, by the time they hit 7th grade, they're going to feel so behind that they're going to check out mentally, if not, permanently. And that's a brilliant takeaway. all by there. If we all just grab that. The other thing is that everybody can also come and see you in just a couple of weeks, November 16th at GCASE in Savannah. And again, that's going to be on the Thursday keynote. A funny thing happened on the way to graduation. Gotta love it. Thank you so much, Karen. I'm just looking at the time, and I'm going to tell everybody here that there are plenty of resources here on our website so that you can learn more about it. I'm going to kind of go quickly, but here's where you can get all of the recordings. We will send everybody who's registered here a copy of this recording. It's also nicely written up, and I'll tell you in a moment or two, in our newsletters as well. But there's a listing with all of the recordings there, so you can go back for the past 3 years. There's more information on some of those funding sources that Karen had spoken about, so that you can really break it around. And then there's just a bunch of ways where you can kind of help build a plan, how you can get, from one place to another, because you can't just, some people, you just can't jump into the ocean. You didn't do it either. It took time. It takes time to do all of this. So how do you put together that kind of a personalized plan? That's what we really like talking with people about. So we would certainly be happy to Zoom with you and just brainstorm, no obligation at that point or whatever. So we hope that you'll check out our website, check out some of the ways that you can gather more information and learn more and share it with your teams. And just once again, Karen, thank you ever so much for all you have done, both for the students that you serve, but also for all the students that you serve with us through Education Associates, being one of our certified national trainers. I mean, can you imagine having Karen work with your teachers to help them understand all this stuff? Holy cow. Well,
Thank you.
Michelle, you have anything you want to add?
No, I just think that it was wonderful. Thank you so much, Karen. And you guys have our contact information there. So please reach out with any questions, and have a lovely rest of your Wednesday.
Absolutely. Take care.
Bye, guys.
Bye.